All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. And this has got to do with the negotiations that are to be held between the United States and Russia. The top leaders of the United States and Russia will meet on the 10th of January next year. And Ukraine and nuclear arms control will, of course, be on top of the agenda. And Russia is also seeking to get some guarantees by the United States that security along the eastern border with the EU will not be breached. The West is alarmed over Russia's build-up of troops along the border with Ukraine, though Russia has said that it has no intentions at this point of time to carry out any kind of a ground invasion into Ukraine. Instead, Russia has said that it is facing threats from its neighbor. Many perceive this to be a Russian attempt to try and create a pretext or a casus belli for an invasion. In a video call earlier this month, the American President Joe Biden had warned Vladimir Putin that Russia will end up facing some very severe consequences, all of them financial consequences in the form of sanctions, if it were to resort to a ground invasion into Ukraine. Russia, for its part, has published its security demands to raise the pressure on the United States and its allies to negotiate a security deal. And this it has done ahead of the engagement, and Russian President Vladimir Putin has indicated considering a slew of options if the West were to fail to meet his push for security guarantees. When asked to specify as to what such Moscow's response could be, Vladimir Putin said that this will of course depend on military proposals. Now, Russia is fiercely opposed to Ukraine's inclusion into the American military alliance of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or the NATO. Last week, Russia unveiled its wish list of security proposals. The list included the demand of NATO giving up any military activity in Eastern Europe. Russia also wants NATO to, in fact, roll back from Eastern Europe. Its military deployments in Central and Eastern Europe are a cause of serious concern for the Russians, who feel that the Americans positioning their weapons in Eastern Europe creates a big security threat for the Russian nation. The United States and its allies have refused to offer Russia the kind of guarantees that Vladimir Putin wants in the context of Ukraine. The West has cited NATO's principle that membership is open to any qualifying nation. But Russia has insisted that the inclusion of Ukraine as a part of NATO is a clear red line which Russia will not allow. Now, Moscow and NATO representatives are now expected to meet on the 12th of January, and in parallel, broader discussions are also set to be held between Russia and the OSCE regional security body. The meeting will take place on the 13th of January. And amidst the standoff between Russia and the Western powers, the Russian forces have held military exercises to practice repelling a massive airstrike. Nearly about 1,000 troops took part in the operation. Moscow also considers the threat of a new missile crisis as a very serious security threat. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.